I have this audio out there somewhere that it says, Megan, here is the intuitive public radio you needed. Let me know anytime you need help setting it up. I'm sorry it took so long. Love, Max.
Oh my gosh. Letter to your past self.
It was something like that. And I probably published it somewhere, but who
You did
remembers?
put a voice message out on the radio at some point that I couldn't work out how to access recently. So,
oh, it wasn't recent.
okay.
It's probably come up again for me a number of times in the last like 2 years or something like that. But I would like to know, what's the first thing you ever remember about intuitive public radio?
I remember you kind of just made it because you'd lost your online business basically because of your illness. You'd lost your business, you'd lost your community, and you needed to find a new audience really urgently, not just for your own survival, but for the survival of your mission, for all the other people you wanted to help. So you just made this radio station and you were like, let's be on internet radio together. So there was this whole phase where we were getting used to broadcasting on Anchor, and I was for some reason my username on a lot of places was Joan of Bark at the time, so I was going by Joan of Bark on the radio.
Joan and Meta in the morning. I have been watching this show called Community, and there are two characters in Community that start like a random fun broadcast, and that's the tune. It's their names, and I don't remember their names. I just remember Joan and Meta in the morning.
I'm so glad you did the jingle because I wanted to do it, but I knew that it would be tuneless if I did it. So yeah, and I can remember us broadcasting about complete nonsense like what we'd just eaten and what it was doing to our brains.
I'm pretty sure some of that audio was reclaimed from the evil SoundCloud platform that didn't want to give me my files back in an order that would allow my brain to recognize when they had ever happened.
Oh, wow.
They got really scrambled, but I did get a lot out of there, and I think that there were some of those tracks.
That would be an interesting listen.
It would be hilarious to go find them. And I might, but not right now. I was making some kind of faces or expressions while you were talking because the words you were making were completely new words for me since the last few deaths. It's terrible for me to keep saying that and never explaining it, but generally I say it and I don't explain it.
Do we want to explain it? Do you want me to? Yes.
Because your words were so good and very fresh for me in the state that I'm in. So maybe you can help me with this next part.
Okay, basically, when you have a health crash caused by usually appalling lack of getting your needs met, like not enough of the right food, not enough of any food, etc., you experience actual brain death to an extent. Your neurons get destroyed, so you forget things, you forget people you've connected with and how to reconnect with them again. You forget what you've said, you forget even like the kind of person that you were before all of the brain death happened. And so you then have to effectively resurrect yourself, rebuild yourself, find new friends because you've forgotten most of your friends,
Grow
back the neurons. Yeah.
Thank you. Those were great words.
You're welcome.
I'm so grateful.
You're very welcome. So you're kind of like the Doctor. You will regenerate, but it'll be a different regeneration.
I think I have thought of that in some terrible moments. But they were really terrible moments, so I'm not going to think about them a whole lot. Just this moment. It must be terrible for him to go through that. Stop hitting things, it hurts. Don't hit things, okay? Okay. Interacting with people. Interacting with people. Did you have a statement that you were finishing or a something? And I will wrap us up soon so that I can take care of myself, because when my movements get faster and it hurts more.
Yeah,
So
no,
I
I
have to
think
go
I
and
was
practice
done.
my breathing in a few minutes.
Yeah, no, I think I was done. So if you want to wrap it up now or in a few minutes, that's fine.
Here is my last question.
Go on.
What do you think IPR should accomplish top priority?
Well, from what we've been saying, it would seem that we need to somehow get it into a normal people space.
Right, all
That
those
we
people
have information that can help.
Yeah,
But
maybe,
that also means
I mean, we need to get back on the line because this is where we started. At the beginning of this conversation, there are so many more people talking about this now, but they're still missing. And I mean, a lot of the time we're talking about us. They're missing what we made. But it's not just what we've made. It's all of these different wonderful efforts and initiatives that are going on all over the place that we've been trying to reach out and catalog and share with one another, so we're not so alone. But it's so hard to reach one another when people who have had an easier time, I hate to say it, they've had terrible times, but easier, not being forced to say, I'm being tortured to death every day.
is easier, yes.
Yeah, it's easier. If we had their awareness, if we were in community together, these pockets of people doing amazing things would be able to reach each other. We can barely reach each other. So we've been working on this for a while. Disabled people, severely disabled people, lab rats, torture victims, survivors of severity. We've been doing some things, and I don't know what needs to happen, possibly me making sure that I can publish this video, but I would love your insight.
We probably need to, first of all, we actually need to write down in some form what it is that we can say to people to help them, because otherwise the possible bad scenario is that we get people coming to us saying, oh, you can help us, and we go
Well, one of the reasons that we made a radio is because when mold ate my brain in Texas, I could only communicate in the fully detailed, most complicated ways. And that has not really particularly changed. I've
yes,
started to organize it in a different way. But a radio would allow me to point people to the radio, and they absorb whatever they can absorb, and they can respond in some way. And I can just keep talking, and I don't have to remember what I'm saying, because when you are in a desperate survival state of telling the truth and hoping someone believes it, you don't remember what you're saying. You have to tell the truth. If you can't remember what you're saying, so there are a lot of people whose brains have been eaten by mold who don't have my media and marketing and business and technology and performance backgrounds. And so whatever I've been describing to people, they haven't really generally understood enough of it to be able to be part of, for us to be part of one another's monkey spheres. And without that, it is always, for so many of us, this desperate struggling to reach out for first contact over and over and over and over and over again, never making any headway because people don't understand our intersectional, interstitial issues. Because there's no media project that includes us or notices us. Intuitive public radio. Oh, thank you for, gosh, you have really helped my brain today.
Oh, I'm glad. So basically what we're saying is that intuitive public radio needs to be a place where people who cannot be succinct because of their illness can come and create a cloud of words and information that people can dip into and absorb knowledge from without having to have a bullet pointed list.
Well, I think that's lovely. And I think it would be lovely if others with different experiences and different capacities and skills and strengths might hang out for a bit and reflect what their experience is, perhaps some of them in a simpler way that would help us create simpler entry points for people who don't know what to make of all of the endless details and want really simple bullet points.
Right, so the challenge is to get people in whose brains are less scattered. I mean,
Whose
my
brains
brain
are
is
differently scattered.
Yes, I mean, my brain is less scattered to an extent. I can have my own challenges with interpreting your words sometimes, but you know, I can also. Sorry, you too. Yeah.
I have trouble with my words, interpreting my words too.
Yeah, but if we can get more people who are on my level, and even more people who are more able to synthesize and summarize things, then we can communicate better. Now, the issue has been that people who can focus are busy making money. Some of them are now not busy making money, so maybe they might hang out.
Some of them really need contact with people. Some of them really don't know how to manage suddenly being isolated with only a computer. And we have a lot of experience with that too.
Yes. Well, you have a lot of experience with that. I actually am not helpful because, like, I like being on my own with a computer. So while I'm just sitting here thinking, just surf the internet. It's lovely. But yeah.
Oh, my brain just shorted out again. But like we basically sketched out. The thing is, it's got to be sketched out because when you're talking about intersectional things and interstitial things, you have to be able to step back and look at the map of all of the details. You have to be able to recognize that there are a bunch of things here that affect it, and there are a bunch of things here that affect it, and we can simplify this piece or this piece depending on relationships that we're building in community or between communities. But I ultimately that first step to have an entry point when we're just not sure what entry points we have, in the midst of the neurological stuff, it's really an interesting question, and I will have to figure out how to ask questions about that of the kinds of people who seem to be least noticing what we're doing and that we are here, or the people I have really tried to reach and inexplicably been unable to, even though like I was really like making sure that I was using words that should have reached a person, but so often they don't understand exactly what I'm getting at because it's not part of the usual template they encounter or the usual scripts that they have to interact with all the time. So when people don't quite know how to respond, then something just gets missed. And they don't even necessarily mean to not respond. It's just they have to respond to what they can respond to. And pretty much everybody has too much to respond to all the time now for the foreseeable future, we're guessing.
I think actually we do have, sorry, you weren't finished, were you?
I have the faintest idea what I said. Please continue.
Okay. I think we actually do have some, I probably won't get all of them, but we do have some basic principles here. I mean, one that I was communicating on a mutual aid group yesterday is burnout. In other words, do not make yourself the only point of contact for someone with constant needs.
Oh, that's so important. That's so important.
Thank you. Because what happens, no matter how much you care, you will eventually run out of the ability to help them. And if you've made yourself their only point of contact, that will eventually result in you abandoning them when they're dependent on you and leaving them to find another person to help them.
Well, that's why you need a community that is interconnected and can communicate effectively with one another and are listening intuitively. Oh, I may have bullet points. They're just like they're seeds. All the green growth got burned away by death and destruction, but the seeds are here. So the more I belly laugh, which I've done a few times in this call, the more maybe I'll just be able to spit out those bullet points. And if I'm broadcasting radio, I'm talking to lots of people and I'm getting practice repeating things, which is a valid radio real world skill, especially during the apocalypse.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have...
That was one basic principle that is amazing for having a radio. Are there more basic principles that you can think of?
Okay, well, we've said community rather than a single point of contact because of burnout. Now, you have just touched on intuitive listening. Now, intuitive listening is, well, it's two things. One, it's a way of meeting people's actual needs rather than the needs that we think they have.
Why would you want to do that?
I know, right? And two, it's a way of helping people rebuild their neurons after trauma or illness or traumatic illness. Because when you listen to someone and reflect back to them what they have said, it helps them know what they're saying.
I just feel so much relief to hear someone saying that other than me.
See, that's a case in point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's 2. What was the last one again?
Intuitive listening.
That's so important.
Yes, and 3 is that people who do not have mainstream marketable capitalist skills have, because of that, very valuable information to impart that they deserve to be paid money for, which will enable them to survive without being a burden on people who have more mainstream marketable capitalist skills.
An awesome morning show.
Yay!
I totally forgot what you said. Having skills, getting paid. What do we call in politics? They have words for this. Unappreciated or unpaid labor, the labor of women, the labor of prisoners, the labor of disabled people, the labor of the labor, I can't talk. Labels is an interesting part of that conversation that I will set aside for another time. You have been helping to organize this call so wonderfully, and while I will get off the line pretty momentarily, we seem to be right in the vicinity of an outro. Like what's the culmination of this conversation? Because I think we made a Welsh triad of something, and the third one means that the end of the episode is near. So could you just give me a quick recap? Because I don't remember.
Yes, we have 3 things that we want to communicate to people. One is community. Do not make yourself the only point of contact for someone with constant needs. Share those needs with a community, and then you will not burn out and abandon them. And nobody will be too burdened. And nobody will feel as if they are a burden, which is good because nobody is a burden. Okay, point 2 is intuitive listening. Actually listen to people, reflect back to them what they have said, and check that you've understood it correctly. That means 1, you will be able to meet their actual needs, not the needs that you assume they have. And 2, you will help them rebuild their brains from after the trauma they've experienced. Okay, point 3, I'm not going to forget point 3. Point 3 is that people who don't have mainstream marketable capitalist skills have, because of their experiences, incredibly valuable information to contribute that is worth money, and they should be paid for it, not given charity, but paid for their valuable services. And those are the 3 things.
I'm gonna go publish this.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
See you soon.
See you soon.